All live.
Satya Garu, please go live.
Yes, started.
Namaste and good evening for everyone who joined today. We are extremely happy to introduce this session during this pandemic times. As the one great man said, like money is like a thoroughbred horse. Unless it is trained young, it will destroy us. So please, during this pandemic times when everybody is so much confused about how to balance the finances, we at Utsahin are very happy to introduce our session today, and we have Mr. Sharad Sinha and Mr. Ganesh Balakrishnan, who are well-known chartered accountants and working in finance field, to join us and enlighten us on this topic. So without any delay, I would now request Anirban sir to come and take over and felicitate the event. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prasanna ji, for introducing and setting the welcome note. We all know that money begets money. People who are financially stable and who do not have any money or financial pressures are those who not only work hard and smart for their money, but they are also people who make money work for them. And they also contribute back to society. Filling the coffers and letting money or wealth accumulate and rot does not make good economy, nor does laying it out without a planned budget. In fact, letting money rot causes economic crisis. That is where what is needed is money and finances must be monitored, earned, saved, and put to good use. In fact, it should be rotated to help everyone tide over any kinds of crisis. Money and finances to be monitored must be invested both for a better stable domestic condition and a better national economy. And the investments must be planned. So we chose during this pandemic times to talk exactly about that. We have two eminent speakers today who will educate, ideate, and share viewpoints on how to plan better financially in the pandemic times towards ensuring a better national economy and a better stable family and domestic economy. Let me have the pleasure of inviting and introducing C.A. Ganesh Balakrishnan G. He has been a partner with Deloitte Haskins Sells LLP. He's also served as a member of the Auditing and Assurance Board of ICAI for the year 2010-11. He's a well-known industry personality, a very dynamic speaker, a most sought-after speaker in several contexts, and has been a regular guest lecturer at educational institutions and business seminars. Without further ado, let's hear from Shri Ganesh Balakrishnan on the theme of today, which is about understanding better financial planning during these pandemic times. Specifically, sir, if you could talk about things that will help the national economy. Over to you, sir.
Namaste, and I hope everyone is doing well and safe. And I think this is a very challenging times for all of us. We're all struggling to meet both the ends. Everyone is talking remotely. Even today, the session is being conducted virtually. I think this is the biggest learning one should pick it up from where we are today. Everybody talks about personal finance. In fact, when Anirban talked to me about, why don't you talk about what can contribute to the nation? One thing which struck me now, nothing more do not visit hospitals. Healthcare, the mental frame of our mind is where our investment should go. And today, if we need to contribute to our country, to our nation, the first thing is do not overstrain the system if you are in a position to manage from home. I think that's the number one which comes into my mind. Number two, which is very important, is when someone is not well at home and when somebody is not well in the family or in the neighborhood, the question of finances do not really come up to us. The question of the well-being comes into us. So for us, what is we need to start with today is our well-being. If our physically and mentally fit, all the finances that you have will be converted into a gold mine. And that is what would contribute to the nation. Today, is as much as the nation is looking at us, as much as we are looking at the nation to help us, whether during whatever the shortages that we have, from a perspective of to look at it, if we can contribute to follow what the government would need. Today, if you see the central government, unlike in the past of 2020, did not announce any lockdown because there was heartburn when you looked at the lockdown the last year to current year. And that really impacted the economy, that really impacted where the government had to do a lot of incentives to people. There was no food, there was nothing which was there, everything had to be contributed. Where do we get this money from? Where does the government get money from? The government gets money from the taxes that it earns, the bonds that it sells, the investments that you make it towards your provident fund, your because whatever you call it as national savings certificate, or even to the extent of the farmers Kisan Vikas Patra, whatever those things which are there. That's where when you start investing, it does not pay you return. In fact, when you talk about return today, fixed deposits does not earn you any interest. It's gone. No longer it is where you can say I can go and place my deposit. I'll earn 10%. After this for my retirement. Today, the whole financial modeling has undergone change. No longer, earlier life, say, if you went to an insurance product, the insurance product was more determined from, and like an LIC, that after you're dead, your family will be taken care. Today, insurance is driven like an investment for your own health, welfare, well-being. Let me give you an example which I've recently noted. There was a family which did not have any insurance, did not have any. Was working in some of the family members working in a private sector. Suddenly, because of this pandemic, one of the family members was impacted. They did not have insurance. They had to sell off all their personal belongings, whatever they're holding, so that they can meet the expenditure. And the expenditure was about 2 million rupees, about 22 lakhs rupees. Think through this. Today, the first thing that you should look at it is invest in yourself. What is that you will invest? Good health. Second, invest in those which are called the term insurance. It has to protect you. You cannot be expecting a government to provide you everything because we are dealing with 1.3 billion people. It's humanly not possible. Today, we do not have a system which can provide you social security like the erstwhile, if you were to take a US government, a federal government that provides you, or a UK government. We have to invest in this. During pandemic, do not invest or buy things which are not required. Go and look at inventory of your house and see what are the products that you bought and what is the utility. The biggest saving for all of us is if we can cut down the expenditure. Because as much as many companies, when they look at it, how to increase the profitability, they first look at the expenditure. They don't reduce the revenue. They look at the expenditure. Similarly, for all of us, we have to look at those expenditure which can be deferred. Take an example today, a marriage, if you have to conduct a marriage, the same 5,000, 2,000, 3,000 now got reduced today by the latest one to 40 people. That itself is a saving which you can think through it. You don't require to go and show your status saying that I'm putting it this. The other aspect which is really very important for all of us is we have to spread our whatever we earn. Let's say we earn $100. We have to keep 30 does not belong to us. The beautiful part about our Indian government is the Provident Fund. Not many of us do not realize that this Provident Fund of 12%, 20, almost 24% goes and sits and comes at the time of retirement, which without our own knowledge, it's saved on behalf of us by the government scheme. Invest in that. Think that that is not your money. Even what you get, take 30% off. And let me tell you about the millennials which I've got. The millennials is something which is very important. Today, what happens is the parents have actually gone ahead and started investing and making sure everything is secure. But what is missing is they've not taught them what is saving. And the biggest challenge why US economies have got a problem of debt is because majority of the American citizens live on debt, if you really wait to take a comparison. Unlike in India, we actually have the habit of saving. You take in a family, the mother will keep some money, right, in some box or something. Similarly, we need to develop the habit of saving. And saving where? Don't park everything in one particular investment. So whether it should be in a bank, or it should be in own investment, or should it be in shares, like that. Don't do it. Spread based upon the risk. Today, if suppose somebody were to ask you what will happen between now to next 2 years, what does happen to you? You do not know. You do not. When there is uncertainty, you need to protect yourself. When you need to protect yourself, look at your finances first. The finances is what is my income and what is my expenditure. From that expenditure, you should have, let's say there is a particular amount of saving. Go and invest in AAA bonds or investment in sovereign, because that protects your capital. Today, the problem is the capital erosion. Somebody might say, why don't you invest in equity? That's absolutely right. But when do you invest in equity? If you have an understanding of the equity market, then you can invest equity. Or you can invest in a systematic investment fund called the SIPs, which can give you an assured income. Or you can invest in a mutual fund. But all of these, without understanding, do not invest. Do not go by here and say, study and then invest. And I think why this is important is, as much as Anirban said, if I take and put all the money in gold, buy gold and I keep it, does it earn income? Does it have utility? We have obsession for yellow metal, but it does not earn us any return. But if I take something like this, okay, I find that I want to create employment. Why don't you buy a 1 acre, a half acre, whatever it is of land, and ask somebody to do agriculture? Two things can happen. You are a person who is an entrepreneur. You're not dependent upon people to provide you subsidy. You can afford to do it. You can provide employment. 3, you can generate income. Look at this, because today it is not farming community which only do farming. No, we as individuals, if we have disposable income, start thinking about creating jobs. That's very, very important. The other aspect which is very important is, don't think that I will donate only to X or Y or Z. No, I'm saying start with your community. How does a community start? You can take in an area of what, let's say 1 to 2 kilometers and say, let me take care of this community. Because today when there is a lockdown, when a lot of people are suffering, when a lot of people are outside without jobs, do not think whether that person is useful or useless. That's not the objective. Whether you are serving the mankind, that is important. If you can create this, what is called helping hands, and helping hands, you don't have to wait to get a tax deduction, because I'm going to get a tax deduction, therefore I'm going to opt for it. No, I'm going to tell you that if Sharad will talk to you, that going forward, there are no tax deductions that are available. All will be eliminated. If everything is income tax and that's it. When that being the case, when you take something and go help people, the amount of satisfaction that you will get is far greater the amount of satisfaction that you would have get by hosting somebody with 1,000 or 2,000 people who is going to curse you, saying that at your level you're not been able to do it. Next, when you look at some of these schemes which the government is running, do not look at whether I've contributed to PM's Care Fund or Chief Minister's Relief Fund or some donation. Don't ever question your ability is only to contribute. Your ability is not to question that I have paid him 1,000 rupees. Why has he not provided a road? Why has he not provided it? Our objective is, when in a pandemic, what happens is everybody suffers. Country is the biggest sufferer. Let me tell you one thing. Today, people like us can afford a home, can have 3 courses of meals. But how many such people can do it? Who provides for it? It has to be in some form of the government. Now, for the government, it's an expenditure. There is no income which is generated. When do you generate income? Only when the businesses run. And if you look at today's businesses, restaurant business is out, airlines business is out, tourist business is out. Just you can go on naming. Now, there are no businesses. Imagine the amount of workforce which was there do not have income. They are dependent on somebody else. And that is the biggest root cause of today's unemployment. Today, even this pandemic, we have got 7.7 million of unemployment. And equivalent of that, just imagine earlier, we used to have IT companies. We used to say IT companies generate employment. IT companies generate not only employment directly to the people, but indirectly cars, buses, canteen, all supporting services who are there. All of them are out or without jobs. Now think through this. Can a country afford this? The answer is no. Can you help a government? Can you contribute? The answer is yes. You don't believe that I don't want to contribute to a care fund or something, but take this money. See people who are starving. See people who do not have homes. See people who can. So if you can contribute to that, that contribution will help indirectly the nation. The other thing which you'd always remember is invest in real estate. Believe in Mother Earth. It will never ditch you. Let there be earthquakes. The Mother Earth remains. In your potential, don't borrow funds. But today, if you see the analysis, last year, almost 60% borrowed funds to meet their own expenditure, 60%. That means I did not buy a property. I took loan because I had taken borrowed loan from my friends or somebody to repay it. So therefore, a loan which came here given to somebody without earning interest. Same loan if I had taken and put it in infrastructure that would earn to the government in the form of taxes, that would earn to you in the form of rent, that also will give you a capital which will have an appreciation. So look through that product. As an individual, you are not born rich. If you are born rich, you don't have to talk about personal finances. Only when you are so-called in the class called the middle class, that is where you start thinking through, how do I plan? What should I do? Get a skill. I'm telling you, one of the biggest things which you should do is don't wait. If you lose a job, invest yourself in another skill. Look for which are the ones which is going to be future. IT will be the future. Invest in that. Don't go to that IT where everybody is going to do. No, look at that which you can adapt as a part of the skill. Foremost important thing for us is, as much as investment is in a I would say in a stock or in a real estate, investment should also be in upbringing or upskilling yourself in education. Education is the biggest thing that you can do. What you learn today can make you earn tomorrow, not in India, but you can use with your IT technology, you could use your skill to sell it somewhere else. And that is the biggest strength. And today, what I would say is help your nearby traders. Do not go and bargain with them. And one of the things which I request, let him charge $20 more, but pay him that $20 because he's fighting against a pandemic as much as you are sitting at home and doing a steaming and then coming back. But that man sits there throughout to sell. Help that person. If you help them, if there is happiness in your neighborhood, there is happiness in your home. No longer this pandemic differentiates between one who has got haves and have-nots. It has hit all of us at the same level, whether you are staying in a very rich 10 crores building or you're staying in a 100 rupees hut. It has hit everybody because this pandemic has changed the whole topography of our business. Other thing which is very important is to be rich is very important, but to be wealthy is what is where time talks to you. Invest to be wealthy. Wealthy should be not only in the terms of money, but wealth should be in terms of your wisdom. Wealth should be in the terms of helping others, supporting mankind. Wealth should be in such way that you do not question what you have contributed, but contribute without even expecting anything from the other person. Only when you do it, you will have a selfless person, a selfless individual, and that will what will contribute to this nation. If we want nation to be successful, we have to play a part. That's called nation building. We can sit and question. That is only for the people who are sitting in that what is called the yellow journalism. We can sit and do it. For us, contribute, stand by with the government. You can dispute him in the vote bank, but when it comes to elections. But today we need to stay united. We need to help each one of us to be upfront and make sure there is well-being across. Only when there's well-being, all this money matters for personal finances. Thank you, Anipal, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ganesh ji. That was really a very informative address. And I'm sure all our audience at Utsahin and everyone else will take a few cues on staying self-satisfactory, on enabling contribution to the local ecosystem, on ensuring that they diversify their investments across multiple products, and they continuously educate themselves, and most importantly, stay healthy and stay safe. I think with that, we'll go to our second speaker of the day. I have the pleasure of inviting C.A. Sharad Sinha ji, who's the founding partner at Sharad and Associates. He's a senior professional, and his expertise includes audits, tax advisory, and enterprise risk management. He has a PG qualification in cost accounting, forensic accounting and fraud detection, as well as an IND-IAS from ICAI. He features also in the approval panel of independent directors maintained by MCA. Let's now hear from Sharad Sinha ji on what we can do to do the right kind of financial planning in the domestic and family scenario, along with other ideas he may have. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. I have a financial planning model to share with you all here, which may sound a little theoretical, but has been proven over a period of time to be of practical importance. And I would like to talk about that, including correlating it with the present pandemic kind of a scenario. I call it as a cardinal rule of investing one's income into different buckets. And accordingly, I have placed them into 4 different buckets. The first and foremost among that is, your outlay should, 40% of your income should be all the basic costs such as food, clothing, your utility bills, your school kids' education, transport, and of course, taxes on your income. Cost of living during this pandemic period has slightly gone up. However, there has been a relative saving also in terms of no movement from home or work from home culture, including the kids not moving out to go out to schools. Hence, the allocation to this bucket should remain at the same 40% without compromising on the quality of living which one deserves or enjoys as such. In the second bucket, I have a place for outlay for targeted financial goals, such as buying a house, maybe buying a car, or higher education of kids. And I allocate 20% of income to this bucket. Now, in this segment, you have to invest money somewhere to achieve these goals. And any investments made can also have some embedded tax benefits in it, which will further improve your returns into these investments. Planned financial growth should also include, for every individual, a post-retirement fund planning. And hence, once, in my opinion, when it reaches 50, he should be planning for his post-retirement life and income, or an alternate source of income being created out of a portfolio of investments. Because by which time, I believe most of us would have had achieved a home, the kids might have been settled, and it is only that you need to take care of you and your spouse in most of the cases. When we talk of investments...
Sharad, sorry for the small interruption. The camera is shaking, and if you can possibly maintain the camera in a stable position and be a little away from the camera, sir. because your face is still getting cut. We're only able to see up to your chin.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
it better?
Better, sir. Thank you, sir. And maybe you can rest the camera somewhere if it is possible, because the camera is shaking continuously. Yeah, this is better. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So when we talk about investments, we have to look at opportunities for investments, and such opportunities typically comes from these days into investing in stock markets or from a portfolio of investment of mutual funds, because mutual funds are headed by experts from the domain who know how to deploy money, who know the timing with respect to when a profit booking can be made or an exit can be made, and can provide you a targeted growth in investment or returns. If India is targeting to become a 5 trillion economy by 2024, pandemic notwithstanding, and if this, it's for this reason that we see that corporate earnings, as represented by our stock indices, have been rising and not been very adversely affected by pandemic, since the fundamentals have remained firmly grounded. Accordingly, investments into corporate India through these mutual funds or direct stocks would really enhance your investment portfolio, which will help you meet these financial outlays or targets. Deposit, the traditional investments in the form of a deposit with banks have been uh, very conservative, and we have been seeing a falling rate of interest over the period of time. With pandemic or no pandemic, this is likely to go down further, and hence this traditional source of investment is not very advisable today. Furthermore, if India has to become that 5 trillion economy, then the corporate India has to get a lower cost of capital, and deposits, as you know, go as a debt to the economy, and hence we have to look at investment which has fair amount of liquidity, safety, as well as better return. In the form of a mutual funds, as I suggested, today the mutual fund sector or the stock markets are fairly regulated, hence are considered to be safe, including they offer good amount of liquidity, as settlements for conversion into cash happens in T+2 days. Hence, liquidity is not a matter of concern if we are investing in this through mutual funds rather than direct buying into stock markets, which could be a risky affair for those who cannot evaluate or distinguish between different corporate stocks, or track their performances over the years, or decide the right time of profit booking or exit. Similarly, hedging through derivatives could be for someone who understands the related nuances much better than most of us. Borrowings for planned financial goals leverages individuals' financial achievements and accomplishments. Hence, medium to long-term borrowings should be resorted to at a mid-age to achieve financial goals. Accordingly, a repayment of these borrowings should be marked to the relevant bucket, as mentioned earlier, and wherein in the first bucket goes your routine credit card bills, whereas borrowings for home, education, or car can go into the second bucket, as I mentioned above. In my third bucket, I have a bucket for entertainment, and this could mean or include family travel, holiday travel, pilgrimage, weekend or monthly family outing. And I again allocate here 20% of one's income. This would also include a subsegment of compassion, as in my opinion, joy or self-satisfaction is not derived unless we are able to contribute to the society. And this is the time of pandemic when perhaps the society needs our contribution the most. Hence, charity also should form part of this bucket. And with family outings, whether weekly, monthly, or annual, now being totally out of equation, the savings under this segment should be fully applied towards charity, as society needs us or our contribution the most today, and no surplus should be carried over to any future years under this bucket. The last and the balance segment of 20% is meant for saving for the rainy day, and insurance for insurance payments come under this category. Unplanned financial outlay, and needless to mention that this present pandemic squarely fits into this bucket, wherein we had not anticipated this, and if not today, then tomorrow it is likely that we may have to face larger cost of living, including the insurance, as I mentioned. Insurance should always be taken for unforeseen reason rather than as a tax tool. However, insurance products offering tax benefit again improves the efficiency of the financial planning. Insurance should include life and medical, including the properties one owns. Life insurance is relevant for those family constituents who are the earning members of the family, whereas medical cover is needed for most of the members of the family. Properties such as car, house, and other assets should also be insured to guard against any unforeseen damages to them. Medical insurance has been of late turning out to be expensive because insurance companies' incurred claim ratio is turning out to be 120%. And year by year, they are compelled to increase the medical costs, medical insurance premium. However, it is also important that with the medical costs going up, more so when we have seen that very, very directly in the present pandemic situation, it is important that we have a slightly larger budget or we are prepared to face higher cost of insurance in the days to come or days and years to come. One should not compromise under this segment to safeguard against any such insurance costs which may overload us tomorrow. However, this is a standard template. It's a standard model. This needs to be fine-tuned. The percentages, as mentioned by me, is only an indicative ones. Depending on the facts and the circumstance of each individual, age, his earning potential today and in future would decide further as to what would be the right allocation under different buckets. But the model being a future-looking can be applied at any given stage, at any given time, including that of today's. And I personally believe that one should really give it a thought and in terms of the financial planning for self and the family. That's all I have to say now from my side, Mr. Anirban. I would like to take questions if there is anything in relation to this.
First of all, thank you very much for the very enlightening talk on how one must do their family planning and bucketizing it into multiple lists and how it's important to invest in things and instruments that have good liquidity, whereas at the same time also contributing to, I think you reflected on the same thought process of charity, ensuring that the savings of the family today, wherein there is multiple opportunity, goes on into the enabling of the local community, and how one also needs to have a balanced outlook at risk management through investing in the right insurances and laying off for the rainy day. Thank you for all those beautiful inputs, sir. I think now what we'll do is we'll open the floor to questions as a panel discussion to both panelists, Ganesh ji as well as Sharad ji. And the first question that I would like to put forth, and either of you can take it in any order, is we recently heard about a spate of foreign investors who are looking at investments in certain NGOs of India. Especially one of the names that came out was with regards to Sri George Soros, who has been making some investments in NGOs that are anti-national, that are actually causing various kinds of furore in the Indian stability of the political and the social system. Is this information valid, and is this something that we should be cautious about? Likewise, are there certain NGOs that you would, that in your personal knowledge is good, where you think they are doing a great job and we can contribute in cash, kind, or service?
All right, so Sharad, shall I take the question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay, George Soros. All right, so he has been creating havoc across the globe. Okay, that's the truth. Does he attack you? He does not attack you directly. The biggest thing which came up, and actually rightly so, is that a lot of these organizations, I mean, I don't know because whether George Soros is a part of it, but assuming that what the government has got the report is many of the organizations, when they fund these NGOs, the whole objective of this funding was for conversion, whether we like it or not. But the percentage of, and that's happened not because that there is a need where everybody wanted to get converted. That's because of the poverty. One thing which we are not recognizing and which we have not recognized is there is a huge element of poverty which is going without any money. And these missionaries and these called foundations, which came up as an NGO, started investing in those particular areas and doing a conversion, and which is a fact based upon the report. Now, the question is, how do they do it? they do not do it directly. They will start with scholarships. The most poor students, they will give you 1,000 scholarships. So therefore you start with it. So therefore, first of all, if you want to really invite somebody, get that confidences, give them that ability to have the trust element. So they get into trust. Where do they invest? They invest in medical. What they do is they'll go into all these villages, start setting up these medical centers, which was not there before. They will start doing it. So therefore, all these people says, I mean, if you really talk in Telugu, because it's a Telugu channel, Ayanu Devudu. So that means you convert them into a god. So therefore they invest in this. The third part which they will do is they will say educate minds. And when you say educating minds, they will start opening up colleges and schools. So therefore this is something which comes up. This is now getting restricted by a very good introduction of, I would say, circular during during January, February, which said that anybody who actually invests here should be certified by a chartered accountant. I think this is the biggest change which has come up for an NGO. It is not only for those people who are bringing in funds, it's also for the person who's signing the trust accounts that he's responsible for this part. That's what. Now, when you talk about foundations, when we talk about foundations do not have, Indian foundations do not have money to advertise. The biggest thing is advertisement. You need to think big to advertise. You have, like, for example, you've got the Smile Foundation. You've got the Care India, Give Up India Foundation, or L Page India, or Nani, something which has been created by, or a Gunj by Mahindra and all. All of them are there, but we do not have that money to create new thing. This is for this purpose, because our whole thinking is the moment you contribute that money, person who should have taken away money and not for the end purpose, because we do not have the accountability which is established. The day accountability gets established, every NGO that you have bought will make a difference. When I said, where do you invest NGOs? I said, invest first in your local community. That is where you see. That is where you contribute, rather than going into foundation. That's why I said, if my objective of any NGO is for a tax deduction, I would less encourage. Then I would say somebody who's taking care of home for aged, or for girl child, or for education, for it. That's where I. Sharad, you want to add?
No, I think you have comprehensively covered the question as such. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the very enlightening answer. Secondary question that came up is, this is for both of you. Maybe you can each take 1 minute or a couple of minutes. Tell us about your journey with money. How have you planned your investments? What is it that you've done? What are some of your contributions? You can share whatever you would like. How has your journey with money been?
Sharad, you go first.
I mean, you're the senior. You go first to begin with.
Yes.
Anyways, I'll just add here that the model which I mentioned, typically I have followed some subset of that itself. And not that I have made something very big, but then I'm quite happy and quite satisfied with whatever I've done. And the best part is that when you invest, you should also be prepared to lose some, and at the same time move the money out where you're losing and put it again into productive investment, which has a potential to give you return. You should be a quick decision maker rather than sit down and cry. And I think the model which I talked about has helped me, and I stand by that. Thank you.
So thanks, Sharad. So see, if you really ask me this question, it's a story of rags to riches. Okay. From a situation where my grandfather was chief engineer to His Highness Nizam's then, to rags to riches. So this is where the story flow through it. That's where they say Lakshmi moves from the seventh house. But to be honest, if you give importance to money, you will lose peace. You will lose your sleep. What is important is, even when you have money or when you don't have money, what's important is, if you think money is going to earn more money, that's more stress you're adding to yourself. Until today, I've not invested in a single stock, though I know I signed a lot of the companies which are stocks have actually gone 10 times, 15 times. I've not done that. But what is I've invested is, I've believed in Mother Earth. Not from an expectation that it will give me by this thing. One of the things which we, majority of the people are bothered about is having a shelter. If you can have a shelter under your roof, then half your problems are solved. Do not invest in material things like which is not things which is not going to add value. So, want to add status. Don't go and buy. I'm not saying that you should buy a Mercedes. Everybody's saying everybody has a choice of a Mercedes Benz. I don't have a choice. I still run through what is my Maruti only. I don't go beyond that one. Wherever possible, use public transport, because it is not you which is saying, but it is you which is actually adding to that value. And remain grounded whether you earn a 1 rupee or a 1 crore. Because the day you attach yourself to money, you will be disappointed. The day you do not give importance to money, but you give importance to relationship, give importance to mankind, give importance to helping nature, then there is enough of satisfaction. And that is my journey of this. When I had nothing, when I have something, that the situation is a change, it doesn't change.
Thank you. I think both of you actually brought out that element of human touch to money, and I think in the journey, irrespective of how each one of us invest, ensuring that we invest in people around us, ensuring that we invest in our relationships. I think that's very important, which is also very strongly, and you'll be happy to know, dear guests, that there is a secondary platform of Utsahin called Awakening Hearts, which is all about connecting from heart to heart. And there we start with 4 fundamental tenets: harmony within the self, harmony with all relationships and family and society, harmony with all of nature, wherein we precisely speak about, investing in Mother Earth, ensuring that you are minimally taxing yourself on energy, you're minimally taxing yourself on resources, and you're minimally becoming a consumer. Consume as minimal as you can. Cut down your greeds, make them wants, cut down your wants, make them needs. Live with your bare essential needs. And that, I think, is the wisest way to live. That way we will also give our future generations a chance to live. And I think that's the same message I get from both of you. Thanks for it. We almost on the close of time. I think we have just about time for taking one last question. And there is one more popular question, if I may. And this is about digital currencies. Bitcoin and related digital currencies today are a hype in the market. Is this safe? Is this legal? What is its future? And what is your take on this?
Ganesh can better answer this. However, I would say it's not illegal, but it's not regulated as well. But anyways, there's a legislation coming up. I think Ganesh can throw more light on that.
So Bitcoins, when Sharad talked about derivatives, anything derives value, anything that has a value which is derived out of a transaction is called derivative. You derive it. Bitcoins, I create an artificial demand. Take the case of oxygen, right? Take the case of any of the medicine, 100, 800 rupees, 1,50,000 rupees. Bitcoins is also a similar way. Cryptocurrency is a similar way. First, I will create, I will give it to you. I'll create that market. Then I will then make sure there is short supply. Then what I will do is I will earn money and then say that I've today lost, file a bankruptcy, and we are done with it. All the people who have invested money, something which is an unknown, if you invest, your return is the equal. Invest in the unknown called faith, at least you will get peace. I'm saying have peace. See, if you go after money and money, you should earn money. I'm not saying you should not earn money. But earning money without any substance is touching on this and saying that there is coronavirus around. That's what the result is.
It's all in the air and it may end up in a balloon, hot gas balloon. All right. Thank you. I think that's the end of the question answer session. I really thank our guests for being very, enterprising to share your ideas with us and your personal journey with money. Next is the segment for Utsahins. We have great speakers from Utsahins as well who will share with us their inspiring stories. I have the pleasure to invite today Mr. Sandeep Kumar Chittimalli, who holds a dual master's degree earned from India and United States respectively. He's a data scientist currently serving as a consultant in one of the big federations in the US. He has had 7 years of analytics experience, and he has in the past worked with NASA, one of the largest space organizations of the world, at the Goddard Space Research Center for flights. He's also served SDSU, which is South Dakota State University, for image processing labs, and in other big financial organizations like Capital One. He, in his leisure, studies data analytics and engineering, loves cooking, enjoys playing cricket, volleyball, and spends time with family. Over to you, Sandeep, for your inspiring story for the day. Sandeep, we can't hear you. You're muted. You may want to unmute yourself.
Yes, I was not given the permission. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'm really happy for being a part of this Utsahin. And today, I want to talk about two important things, and they are really important for this the current system, like what's happening. So one is proactive and reactive. So these two concepts really helps in our life. Basically, like we need to understand like what's is proactive. So the people who are like proactive are always looks for more opportunities. So proactive is nothing but we understand the current situations and plan something for future. And they doesn't stop once the work is completed, and always be in the current situation and predicts what's going to happen in the future. But when it comes to reactive, they acts according to the situations, like they apply the rules or like the experience in that particular situations, and they try to come out of that particular incident or the situations, and that may not helpful all the time. That might work well for some of the situations, but that may not work because they applied the reactive people apply that particular the experience in that particular situations without having any experience. They just want to come out of that the situation or any issue. So the people who are like more proactive are always well planned and always have the counter measures for all the problems that occur, and they concentrate on the in the current, and they train their life in such a way to kind of fight with any kind of a situation. So talking about the benefits, as I've been telling, proactive really helps to prepare for the future. uh, in our daily life, it helps for career growth, family planning, financial planning, to understand the situations, plan for future training, like training by looking at their the daily life, and prepare solutions in front and get possible outcomes. They always train their, whether it's in a work or life. I mean, I can bring a best example that I was not proactive in the past, and for which I have to pay a lot after that. I, I was in my place two, which is a beginning and really important stage for every student. That is the stage like where our future is going to be decided, where whether we are going to become an engineer, doctor, uh, or any professionalist. But that is the really real stage where our life is going to be turned. And I was not in the, I mean, back in 2012 when I 2008 when I joined my place two. Like every other student, I just started my life and enjoying, because it is just after class 10th, and I was just concentrating and talking to the friends, and I was not much concentrating on the subjects or what been taught in the class. I mean, I was a good student and above average student, but still I was not in the concentrating in the studies and what the lecturers were telling. So after the way the plus two levels in India they work is they do take average of the first quarter, and they do promote the students into the next level or to intensive teaching. And I don't know about that, honestly speaking. And it's at the end of the first quarter, I got to know that they are going to take some average of all these the exams are whatever we have given, and they mentioned they are going to take the people into the next level. Of course, I did not concentrate on the things. I was more reactive on that kind of particular situations. I did really hard work, and I was able to get secured very good marks in on the next two exams. But when the day came, when they are doing the intensive, they're taking the students to the intensive training, they didn't call my name. I was really upset, and no surprise, because I was not been in the present situation and didn't plan anything for the future. I was not at all proactive. I mean, I was just the days are going, I was not proactive at all. So my friends who are all went to the intensive training, they did the secure very good ranks and very good universities for their engineering or medicine. But I stayed among back when I was back people and backbenchers, and I didn't get a good college. But it almost took 7 years for me again to get a good position in my career. So that is the best example where I learned I need to be proactive all the time. So can we be proactive? How to start it? It is very simple. Start with very simple things like planning, looking after your day and how does it flows, and thinking about to give it some directions. It will give definitely directions if you plan well your day. Also, think what will be the good and bad if you do some task. Just when we have some task, just don't think okay, we can apply this, we can get this. That is not good. So definitely planning something when the task comes, and that will help us help us to train well and to plan future. So with small things, I want to conclude that it's being proactive always helps to achieve goals and create your own path. Finally, proactive people are very self-aware because they always know what's going to happen in the future. Being proactive really helps us because we recognize problems ahead of time and prepare prior solutions. I mean, the current pandemic and current system, that's what's going all throughout the globe. So I don't want to go into the deeper, but
Thank you.
the world is not ready. It's not proactive. That's it.
Thank
And
you,
thank you
Sandeep.
so much, Utsahin.
Thank you, Sandeep, for your message. Next, I would like to call upon Utsahin Nidhi Anandji, who is MBA LLB with 19 years of corporate experience in law. She is a research scholar pursuing her PhD in management, and she has been kind enough to volunteer with the Ramakrishna Math in implementing value education in schools and works in colleges as well for overall personality development. May we have your inspiring story for the day, Nidhi ji?
Thank you so much. Very good morning, good evening. Namaste to everyone. I think I don't know if any of you noticed, I had a very nice background just a minute ago, and I thought I have a beautiful setup, and I was very comfortable where I was sitting. And when my chance came to speak, power off. So I think, and I had to step out into a place where you could see me. I think that's what is life. Life is we've been given a very beautiful life, no warranty. No guarantee. It does have an expiry, but that's not printed for you. So the suspense goes on. So how do I live my life? As if kal ho na ho, but what if kal ho to? So I just wanted to start off on that note. And since you introduced me as a volunteer, that's the best identity that I can give myself. I've been a volunteer with an organization, a mission which believes in service to man is service to God. I volunteered for another organization, which is like Isha Foundation, if I may say. They believe in taking a drop of spirituality to everyone, and they did wonderful programs during the pandemic. And volunteering has always given me an opportunity. I joined a new job. I must tell you all that 1 year of my life has been full of uncertainties. I lost my job in a jiffy. My father had a very complex attack of, he had a heart bypass. I was there with him for 10 days, close to watching him breath by breath. So life is just about dealing with any moment of weakness is death. Any moment of strength is life. So as Swami Vivekananda said, there are 3 types of strength that you would meet in your life, maybe. And I'm just not talking to preach or share. It's an experience. Body, definitely. Corona has taught us that body is your big investment. And I'm grateful to Sharad sir and Ganesh ji, who's brought out such beautiful investment thoughts in my mind today. Invest in your body, invest in your mind, and give back that investment. You can invest in way of time, emotion, money, and intent. And prayer has been a biggest strength for me as well. So these are the ways that you can volunteer and contribute and give back to where you are. Just wanted to share, I just got hold of this book, Karma. It's not karma, because whenever something goes against your wish, you say, oh, it's karma. But I think it's karma, cause and effect. Everything that's happened will have its effect and its consequence. I think this millennial or this generation is having to face that payback period for whatever we have done. And like beautifully, one of the sirs said, invest in Mother Earth. Yes, give back to Mother Earth. She will never disappoint you. Yes, sir, I totally agree with you. And with just one message from this, approaches to karma yoga, it is giving back, volunteering. And I forgot to mention, I'm also on 2 helplines. One is a WhatsApp helpline for COVID, and one is a phone helpline for Delhi. I work for an organization which has come up voluntarily to this. Even if I take one call, and if it saves a life, or even if it gives comfort to that one person who is calling me, maybe it's in the middle of the night or whatever, I think I've done my bit. I'm comfortable to have such a space, such comfort, but let's give back is a message that I would want to give to each one of you. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to me, and wish we all well, and let's get over this pandemic soon, all of us. Thank you. Over to Anirbanji.
Thank you, Nidhi. So, and as we close, thank you for those 2 inspiring messages, dear Utsahins, fellow Utsahins. And as the customary thing, we always have a summary of the whole event. We have Yash with us here today, who will summarize all of the speakers' talks and messages. Over to you, Yash.
Thank you so much, Anirbanji. I'm so much delighted to extend this event summary. National Center for Financial Education, NCFE, in pursuance of its vision, Financially Aware and Empowered India, conducts a survey, the NCFE Financial Literacy and Inclusion Survey in India. And there is one report telling more than 75% of the adults have inadequate understanding of the financial aspects, leading to disastrous financial decisions. And so this scaring away effect is created. And today we are blessed to have 2 eminent people, experts, educating and enlightening us on this phenomenon of financial education. Our first speaker, C.A. Ganesh Balakrishnan C.A, beautifully highlighted the mindset from wellness precedes wealth. So why wellness is very much important. And then he highlighted how to protect yourself first. Don't add to the problem, protect yourself first. He has given various examples where to invest also. You have a spread your risk in AAA bonds, invest in equity, not based on hearsay. What I love the most is the debt investments versus income generating assets, gold versus one in agriculture land, so that you can also contribute to the economy. And also the Mother Earth he was referring to. And finally, his conclusive words on rich versus wealthy and going towards national building. Wealthy is when you have wisdom, it's not just money. So it was so motivating, sir. Our second speaker, Sharad Sinha, sir, has beautifully titled, maybe if I can title it, Bucks in the Bucket, where you should invest your funds, what should be the ratio. He gave a thumb rule of direct expenses 40%, planned financial goals 20%, and again, how this 20% should be allocated. And then the next bucket is entertainment and also compassion, wherein 20%. And the last one is buffer and also the insurance part, where you have the 20%. Thank you for that thumb rule template, sir. I think it will definitely help us in preparing in future. And then we have our inspiring speakers who gave the stories of resilience from being like reactive to proactive. Sandeep Kumar, Mr. Sandeep Kumar has given his own personal experience, and also our another speaker, Nidhi ji, has shared her emotional and intellectual experiences on how to handle uncertainties, how to turn the moments of weakness into moments of strength. With this, I'd also like to thank Anirban sir, who has been facilitating all this. It was a wonderful experience, and now I would hand it over back, thanking all the speakers to Anirban sir to take it further.
Thank you, Yash, for the brief summary of the event. Let's close with a vote of thanks by Sudha. Over to you, Sudha.
Option. Yeah. Namaste, a pleasure and good evening to all. I take immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks on behalf of Utsahin, the Educating Minds. First and foremost, we would like to thank our eminent speakers joined today who have excelled in multiple disciplines. Mr. Ganesh Balakrishnan, sir, thank you so much, sir. It indeed was amazing learning from you. Thank you for enlightening us with your insightful words, sir. We would like to thank our another guest speaker, Mr. Sharad Sinha Garu. Thank you, sir, for joining us and rendering your words of inspiration, which are very informative and much needed in this scenario. We also would like to thank our inspirational speakers from Team Utsahin, Mr. Sandeep Kumar Chittimalli Garu, for sharing his inspirational story with us. And I would also like to thank our own Nidhi ji for sharing us her inspirational story with us. Now, we also would like to thank Mr. Anirban sir for the great introduction of all the speakers and facilitating whole the event incredibly. I also would like to thank our Prasanna Garu for the warm welcome and Mr. Yash for summarizing all the speeches substantially. I would especially thank TVAT, our media partner, for supporting us in broadcasting the live and always being available for us. I extend my thanks to all the team Utsahins and guiding force, Mr. Ramireddy sir and Raghuram sir. Thank you, sirs. Thank you all the participants and viewers for your continued patronage, which motivates us to excel further. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. I request all of you to raise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे